Free Comic Book Day Mini-Con is coming the first Saturday in May, May 2nd. We are giving away 20,000 comics, way more than we gave away last year. Plus, we have Free Comic Book Day month, which entitles you to free stuff all month long. We've got a ton of guests coming May 2nd, Free Comic Book Day. Chris Cinder is one of them, and we'll meet him here today. So welcome Chris Cinder. May 2nd is Free Comic Book Day. We're giving out 20,000 books. We've got Supreme Pro Wrestling. We've got Sac City Rollers. Nice. We've got a ton of artists, writers, podcasters, video podcasters. And the best part, though, is in here with you writers and artists.
Right.
So, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm local born in Sacramento, and been a habitual doodler all my life, much to the chagrin of my parents and my teachers. There was very few pieces of our homework that went back without something in the margins.
Was there something all over it?
Yeah, Mad Magazine was a major early inspiration for me, and Sergio Argoni's Marginal Thinkings were just, magic for me. I read those first before anything else.
Okay.
So emulating my heroes in my homework and making sure to stay out of the textbooks, of course.
Well, we had to return those.
Yeah,
and then your parents had to pay for
them. We had to return those. They did pay for a couple of them, actually. But yeah, been doing professionally, just focusing on just doing art as a source of expression and income for about the last 11 years or so.
And that's actually impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really good.
For people, it's hard. I mean, you've got a lot of people have their day jobs. They have to come home and crank it out. What was it then? I'm sorry to take you off subject. What was it that made you make that leap and that decision?
I found that every time I would go into a job or attend a class, I spent more time doing commissions and special requests for people. Once they found out I was an artist, that's it. Cat's out of the bag.
Okay.
It's endless, and but it was great because it wasn't always just draw my baby or draw my pet. I actually got people come and say, hey, I'd like you to draw my house, draw my boat, draw my car. There's a particular part in McKinley Park that I really, really enjoy. Could you paint that?
Okay.
And I realized that, the work I was producing not only was taking up a lot of my free time, but it was actually, being well appreciated and received by the people who were requesting it. And it was very rare that I got someone say, hey, I really don't like the way this looks, do it over. So I was like, you know what, why don't we just go for it and see how this works for a summer and just focus on just doing art. Right. And so I got into some local art shows in the second Saturday art scene here in Sacramento. Great Pond Photography got my first, couple shows started for me. And met a lot of great people. A lot of established artists, people that I'd always, appreciated their work and really liked what they did, and I got to finally meet them and kind of get behind the scenes, see the process, and it was so great that I did pick up some freelance jobs on the way. Worked in sign shops, worked for some
just to get things off the ground, make sure you're going in the right direction.
Right. Yeah, taking up projects for authors, doing illustrations for their books and things. But it's always been the painting and the little cardboard constructs, the Hockabots, and that just kept building up
from there.
Yeah.
So because you do traditional paintings,
right?
You do the Hockabots.
Yes.
And you had stuff all over Sacramento. You guys have probably seen him. I mean, he's been here at Empires in the art room. You have an event coming up here.
There's in addition to Free Comic Book Day, there's also the Intergalactic Expo.
And if you guys haven't seen it, look for the other video because we have one with Steph from Sac Geeks, and you'll learn all about it.
And for the last couple years, I've been showing through a toy shop in Sacramento called The Art of Toys, and she focuses on vintage and artist kind of driven toys. 18th and L, and my work is there, and we'll be doing a robot themed show in June where I'll be the feature artist.
So that's cool. Is anybody else going to be involved in that, or is that
I haven't actually been given too much more of the information. Okay. Every time I talk with her, she's all, just make sure you get that work done, and I'm like, yes.
She's like, you leave that to me.
Yeah. But there's a few events coming up. In the middle of this month, I'll be at Cafe Colonial doing their creator shows that they've just started doing these, and there's local art shows. And just
all over Sacramento,
pick up,
a gallery, and also at we've seen you at SacCon.
Yes.
We'll so there's a lot of places to get them. I'm sure you'll see them again here.
And Wizard World also.
You're doing Wizard World.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually Bird on a Wire Framing will be sponsoring myself
That's awesome.
Nick Caesar, who many Sacramentos will probably be familiar with, and of course Jared Konopitsky, who I'm not, is he in on Free Comic Book Day today?
Ooh, that's touchy. So yes, he's in
Okay.
there. Jared will be here.
Yes, I like that.
As we learned from the previous video, he's prolific.
Yes. Jared and I go back a while, and have played a lot off of each other's work and stuff, and it's been he's actually one of the many artists that I know that are just fantastic guys to work with alongside in shows and things.
Yeah,
so.
how do you put up with that sunny disposition all the
Oh
time?
my God,
oh
I
my
know.
God, it's so horrible.
Yeah, it just can't be sad. But yeah, so Bird on the Wire will be hosting us for Doodles on Demand and doing some work.
What's Doodles on Demand?
Basically, it's what I'll be doing for Free Comic Book Day. You'll come up with an idea, and I will give myself 5 minutes to make that idea happen on a piece of paper.
Okay. All right.
Plus, it'll be random.
Traditional pencil.
Yeah, pencil and
Perfect.
some markers. I like to work in Sharpie when I do Doodles on Demand because the line comes down thick and fast.
Okay.
I use vellum Bristol, so there's not too much bleed out, so it's a nice clean line. And yes, I'm now starting to talk like a comic book illustrator because there was a lot of that, and there's a lot of that still running through me. But yeah, Doodles on Demand, and then I'll have some small format, paintings with me and some other, pre-made illustrations that people can look through too. As well.
So Chris, your artwork is very unique with the way you do things. But you guys have you've got to see it. We're going to show you some of these here, and these are called what again?
Well, this is the Hakobot project, or the Hako project.
Okay.
Hako being a Japanese word for box.
Okay.
And
you make,
yeah, it's all
Turtles,
kinds.
Cthulhu,
yeah,
an adorable
and
Cthulhu.
tikis.
How can you go wrong? So what is the inspiration for the artwork?
It kind of germinated over several different influences. Being a toy collector, and my whole family, of course, being into that same thing, we bring in a lot of packaging.
Okay.
And most times we would just break down the stuff that can be recycled, and then we send it off to recycling stations, get a few pennies, whatever. But I started seeing these boxes, and started thinking to myself, well, this would be kind of cool. I would just want to work with something like this because, being an artist, looking at design, always being aware of that. So I grabbed a box, took it apart, turned it inside out, sat it on my desk, and then just started drawing on it.
Just to see where it would go
and it was basically the first Hakobot was essentially a tiki.
Okay. Made
out of just a small box of just a carton that had some that had been sitting there. Shortly afterwards, cereal boxes were no longer allowed to stay in the shelf.
It's all right. It's in plastic on the inside.
Yeah, everything came out of the cereal boxes. The cereal came out of the box, went into Tupperware tubs, and the box got rendered down into paper toys. And originally, I would take these around town and leave them with cafe shops, bookstores, and they would have my name and at the time, a MySpace page. Link on the bottom if you wanted to see more of my work, and then of course that migrated into Facebook and then Blogger.
Okay.
But then I started thinking about, what's the most simplistic way you can represent a character? Taking just the basic elements of that character's, creation, distilling it down, and I figured, well, you could put everything into a box, and then just picking a color, a few recognizable shapes, and then some features, and everybody can look at this and say, if you're familiar with Cthulhu, it's Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Tikis are a little bit more elaborate, but more obvious, and then of course the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Shell back there. Now, what about the paintings? Where do you get your inspiration for those?
It's all sci-fi, horror fiction, a lot of fantasy, a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. Watching just a ton of the old classic Day the Earth Stood Still.
Okay.
Really left an impression on me as far as an aesthetic. Because any one of those frames can be frozen, and the composition is just immaculate.
Okay.
Filmmaking at its best. At its core, and there's a lot of filmmakers now who try to recapture that feel. So when you sit down in the theater and you're looking at the film, you're like, man, this feels really good. This is a good movie. What you're really what's impressing upon you is actually the way it's designed. It's the composition of it.
Okay.
So I try to set up my frame. I try to set my canvas up, my composition up, as though I was looking through a camera frame.
Okay, that's fair
You
enough.
know, so I make sure that what my point is in there, you know, as close to the front as possible. You know, and then foreshadowing for the next piece is always in the back. So if you look at my artwork, if you look at stuff that I did last summer, you'll see elements in the background on many of the paintings that are foreshadowing for things that I'm doing now.
Okay.
So there is a running narrative through the paintings themselves.
And speaking of a narrative and the characters you draw, there's a chance that we could be getting a book from you
Yes,
as well.
yes. I've fleshed out a character called the Something.
Okay.
I've sent an image over across as a kind of a pun, because I was asked to send 2 images of myself, so I sent the Something.
Okay, perfect.
And then a picture of myself. So feel free to put that in there. But he is basically my alter ego.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be kind of like small format, you know, maybe ash can kind of style little books.
Okay.
Stories told by him of the world that these paintings and these robots that I make out of paper exist in.
Okay, so it's all of your stuff.
Yeah, so kind of a Crypt Keeper kind of spin, but more of a sci-fi fantasy.
That's kind of fun, because then in the book, the stuff that people have and that they own and that's on their wall
Right,
is going to
exactly.
be a piece of that world.
Yeah. So when you pick up the book, you'll actually say, "Oh, so that's what that robot was doing."
That's cool.
He wasn't just picking daisies. He was looking for something.
No, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually, and I can't think of anybody who's done anything quite like that.
It's been. I think it has been done.
It has been.
I'm
We'll
pretty sure
just
it has
err on the
been
side of caution.
Yeah.
But not here in Sacramento.
No, probably
So,
not. Probably
no.
not. Not on an independent basis, maybe.
No. So you guys, you're gonna definitely want to come down
Yeah.
and see his stuff on May 2nd. Get the what are they called? The quick doodles.
Doodles on demand.
Doodles on demand. It goes together, and I couldn't even remember it.
That's okay.
Doodles on demand, and all of his great artwork.
Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. You guys can see him here on Free Comic Book Day. We'll have links to the other places you're going to be.
Yeah.
And where can they find you online?
I still rock the old blogger account, so it's Chris Cinder at blogspot.com. You know.
I thought he was going to say at AOL.com.
No, it's just chriscinder.blogspot.com. There, I have a Facebook page. You can find me under Chris Cinder there as well, and then Instagram. So pretty much, I put everything into Instagram, and then it goes off to Facebook and Twitter.
So we can find you on all of these under Chris Cinder.
Pretty much.
That's perfect. Make sure you guys come down May 2nd. You can see Chris. You can see all kinds of other people down here, writers, artists, performers. It's going to be a great day. There's going to be food trucks. How can you go wrong? So we'll see you guys then, and thank you for coming down, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.